welcome to Kaiba Health and Life. I'm your host, Kristen Wolosinovich, here with my beautiful partner in crime and co-host, Lisa Metropolis.
Hi, Kristen. I'm so excited today.
Well, he's a very busy man.
Yes.
We get very excited when there's a very busy, handsome man in the hot seat.
Wearing cool suits.
Cool suits, great summer color. Without further ado, it's our honor and privilege to introduce CEO and founder of the John Wentworth Group, none other than John Wentworth.
Why, thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be on. I appreciate every time you reach out to me. I can't always make it, as you know, but
Well, you're busy.
I'm glad to be here today and just appreciative.
Well, we're very excited to be back in the Kaiba Health and Life studios at the mothership because we've been in Detroit quite a bit. So it's exciting to studio hop, if you will.
And the studio looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
really good.
Thank you.
Very, very exciting things on the horizon for Kaiba Health and Life. We're truly honored and privileged. So you are here today because, we've been friends for some time. And I wanted you to come on the show because I think it's so important for our viewers and listeners to know how to live their best life.
Yes.
And when we say live your best life, we always think, okay, it's being perfect, right? Eating the right foods, exercising every day, living your life every single day perfectly. And truly, that's not the case. I think, the Wentworth Group and your success in your own right with your real estate company and being a realtor previously in the past. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what you're currently doing.
Well, there's not enough time for the entire journey, but I'll just kind of lead with where you started about perfection. To me, it's progress over perfection. There is no perfection in life, and I think to strive for that is you're kind of fooling yourself. Progress, there's a lot of progress in everything that you do. There can be forward progress, of course, and there can be backwards progress.
Yeah.
So seek forward progress, of course. But, sometimes you go one step back and go two steps forward also. So I think you've just got to embrace everything that you're doing and know that you're going to fail along the way, and that's okay. I think you learn the most from those failures, and I think you if you're willing to self-examine and self-reflect, and if your ego's in the way of that, well, that's probably a different
huge
conversation.
barrier.
Right.
Well, of course it is. And you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of people lead with ego. And, that's just not who I am, and it's not who we seek to have on our team, in our group.
Go ahead, Lisa.
You said a lot of people do lead with ego, John, and I wanted to point out because that there's a difference between leading in that way and then being a leader, and the difference between being a leader and managing, because you have figured out the difference between leading and managing. You don't manage your people, you lead them.
By example.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about that. What are some of your best practices for being a true leader?
Well, I at first thank you for recognizing that, because
Absolutely.
I have to also recognize that, right? It's hard to embrace. Okay, I'm in a different role now. Selling shit's easy.
Yeah.
For me, I just always found, because selling stuff is really about, are you committed to the daily work to serve your people? And if you are, it's really not that difficult.
Then it comes. Right? The success comes.
Yeah, and it's not to say that's not a lot of hard work, because it certainly is.
It is.
But when you now, you start to move into a different role, and I didn't set out for any of this to happen. It's just it's where God has led me. I know that wholeheartedly, and I have peace with that, meaning I'm not seeking to what's the next big best thing. I'm just letting things kind of occur, and at the same time helping facilitate things that are occurring.
Right.
But to answer your question, I think I'm a growing leader, right? I'm not a perfect leader.
You're always learning.
Always learning, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'll embrace them, and I'll learn from them. But I think the difference is, if I'm going to answer the question of what does it mean to be a leader, I think it means you have vulnerability. I think that you have to have empathy for people. And those are of course total opposites of ego, right? Ego is me. What's in it for me? What can I get from it? One of the things that we talk about is I was fortunate enough to speak at a real estate conference in New Orleans, and for 30 minutes I didn't talk about real estate because, again, I think the personal journey that we're on, will uncover so much in our professional lives. And, everything that's inside of us comes to the fore. Everything that we're experiencing that maybe we don't want to share, it comes out in our professional life. And so for me, just that, yes, you have to lead by example, but having that authenticity, I truly care about the people, and my biggest goal is how can I help others, and something else that I think is important, and we'll touch on this, is being content. I think that for me is one of the, when I think about my life as a whole, the contentment that I have is what is most important to me, not the money. Because we all know this. I mean, look at relationships. There's not enough money in the world to keep a marriage together.
You're right.
Yeah. There's not enough money in the world to create true contentment. And so you've got to seek it somewhere else. And, I find a lot of it in my relationship with the Lord, which is not a perfect relationship, right? Don't get me wrong. It's a growing relationship, So, there's a lot of different layers to it. There is no one thing.
So does John Wentworth fail?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Not every day. I was going to say daily. I don't know if I fail every day, but I seek failure because I know that's where I'm going to have my moments of growth.
Wow.
I'm super vulnerable. I share a lot of things that most people wouldn't share. I share it on a stage in front of 1,000 people. A lot of personal stuff because I know that my story can impact others and empower others.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that the intent is to go out and fail. I think where the difference therein lies with you is that you're not afraid to take a risk. And with massive risk, there could be massive failure, but you're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Again, I think that goes back to the contentment. I'm not afraid of anything, and that's not the tough guy thing. I'm just, I don't live with fear. I'm afraid of heights, so that's not entirely true.
So that counts.
So that's not entirely true.
He is a human being.
I have a very odd thing with heights, but what I think I actually learned is it's not necessarily the height, it's the, I don't know, there's some other term for it. Almost like not dementia. What's where you...
Dementia?
No.
I know.
I forgot already.
That's okay. Are you talking about when you get to a certain level where...
No,
certain elevation?
If I'm like, we were just in... where the heck were we? We were in Baltimore.
Yes.
We had my father-in-law's horse was in the Preakness, and we were on the rooftop, and there's a pool. And I'm like, oh, heck no.
Okay.
Right? And my daughter's up there, and I'm like, get away from the edge. And it's, the edge is actually 10 feet, and it's high. And I'm like, don't even be near that because anyway.
Maybe it's
I
space
digress.
and dimension.
I
Space and
digress.
dimension right
Yeah.
there.
I digress.
Well, and I think, Lisa, in talking too, like you said, it's so much more, the journey is, it's not just real estate, it's a life's journey.
Yeah.
So when you get, new people that are joining your firm or
Yeah.
joining your team, what are some things that you initially start out with in A, getting to know them, and B, guiding them, if you will?
That's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure it's not cookie cutter, but for you,
well,
you probably assess.
people come in and they have this expectation of who I am and who we are, and then they experience our culture and they go, wow. It's
not what I thought.
It's not what I thought.
Right.
It's a collaborative, embracing environment. Again, if you have a family, you know that you have some anarchy in your family, right?
Not me, not
No?
with two
Neither
girls,
of you?
not
Okay.
two easygoing blondes, super easygoing.
So we have a family, and we also have some anarchy, but it's very controlled, and everybody helps each other through a lot of different things. And so, people bring their resume, and look, I couldn't put a resume together if you gave me 3 days to do it. Well, I could. I'd have someone else do it, but I take the resume and I throw it in the trash. Because to me, the piece of paper doesn't define anybody. And so really, I'm not even interested in that. Now, I do Facebook stalk people, because I can see what are they doing, who are they really. But to answer the question, I think what I'm seeking inside of when we bring people on is, can I personally impact their life? And can I have...
Where can you bring value?
Well, yeah, where can I bring value? But probably it's in areas that they don't even realize yet. And so one of the things when we talk about having boundaries, I think boundaries are super important. My mentor, shout out to John Sheplack. He's been a really important person in my life and just helping me kind of understand some of these things, helping me understand, look, there is no perfection. We know that. And my big thing when these people are coming in is, when I'm setting boundaries on who's coming into our environment, because I'm always conscious of protecting the culture.
Right.
Right. That's super important for our group. And that doesn't mean we're not going to make a bad hire here and there. I mean, that will happen, but the culture really polices itself. So what I'm focused on in those moments is this somebody that has grit, right?
Okay.
Have they lived through something?
Lasting power.
Yeah. Do they have the ability to buck up when they need to? And have they lived through something or experienced something where they showed grit and determination, right? And that could be anything. It
Right.
could be a battle with cancer. It could be a death of a loved one. I mean, a lot of different things. And then also, are they coachable, right? Because they've got to be coachable, personally and professionally. Because I know if I'm gonna help them professionally, I have to have somebody that will allow me to sometimes peel back the layers and develop
help
them,
guide them.
Right.
and develop them personally as well. And I think that's one of the beauties. Like, that's inspiring to me, is when I can see, a young man or lady join our team, and in 1 year, the growth of these people personally is huge, and it happens over and over and over. And then with that personal growth, next thing you know, they're making $120,000 a year selling real estate.
Right.
That's exactly right. We say when the hard work and the mission and the purpose, and it's never about the money, but once you tap into that personal and professional
That's right.
and overall growth, then it comes in droves.
That's right.
And success, like you said, it could be measured in money. Often it's not. But I think that ties to Lisa's point of how you lead.
Right.
You are not only providing them this roadmap, if you will, of guidance and personal growth, the monetary success, which, I mean, let's be real here, we have to keep the lights on or to sustain our families, that will come.
Look, money gives us choices, right? I mean, tomorrow I'm flying to Calgary for a mastermind, and I don't have to go, geez, can I afford it?
Yeah.
Now,
You can do it.
yeah, I know I can do it, and that's one of the things. For me, I grew up I grew up in a single wide trailer. My entire adulthood, until I really focused on my personal self, then my professional self started to take off. But I lived basically poor that entire time,
Right.
and so money just doesn't really motivate me.
It wasn't easy. That's one thing we wanted to have you on the show
Yes,
as well
yes.
as, like, Lisa, you said you drove out of your driveway today and there's a John Wentworth for sale sign.
Yeah.
Your name, your brand,
There's so much more behind
it's
it.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And, that success was no accident. And it wasn't easy. There were times of struggle during this journey. Tell us about that. Were there times you just wanted to give up?
No.
Never.
No, that's
No,
wow.
Here's some, so when we start thinking about the words we use, right? So, first of all, I don't believe in giving up.
Okay.
I think that if there's something that you set out to accomplish, then you do it. And so for me, but again, I didn't set out to have, this, what we've created. It wasn't the vision. It was just, I started out, I just needed to eat.
Right,
I'm just
right.
trying to get a sandwich.
Right.
Well,
Wow.
and I think what people need to know as well, you didn't start out like in the 90s when the market was booming.
Yeah,
This
right.
man started out during the housing bubble.
when
Yeah.
when it was at crumbling. Yeah.
Well, and I think that was a blessing in disguise, right? Because that taught me that you really had to get after it, right? And again, it was kind of no holds barred at that point. I had made some personal changes in my life. I had done some reflecting on my childhood, on my mother, on my father, and just recognizing, okay, I've got to own this, and I've got to change this, and just every day.
Own your life. Is that what you're talking about?
sure.
Like when you reflect on your childhood, do you think it was at a pivotal point where, you know what, we can't blame moms and dads or what our life was like. We have to own our own future.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I was fortunate enough to have people in my life that facilitated some stability, if you will. My Uncle Bill
Yeah.
was really instrumental in that.
It's key.
My
Absolutely.
grandparents were really instrumental in that.
It's key.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't go through a lot of struggles, and do some dumb shit.
But with struggle comes massive strength. And I think that is such a direct reflection of who you are,
Absolutely.
who
Absolutely.
the Wentworth Group is,
The
and
whole.
what you represent. It's insane. And I think, too, real quick, Lisa, I'm going to let you talk, I promise. But I get so passionate about you, John, because I think you're absolutely right. People have this perception of what this is. And then when they come in a
That's
room
true.
with you and your team, whether it's Tony or your amazing team that you work with, it's a family, baby, and it's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, you've got to have thick shoulders also.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have, or I should say, thick skin. You know, I don't live in this this mindset of, you know, what do people think? What do people say? I don't care. Now, that's not from a place of toughness or I don't care what you think. I'm going to do it my way. It has nothing to do with that. I know what I need to do to be me. I know what I need to do to serve the people that are in our environment, and I know what I need to do to serve my family.
Yes.
And so I just don't get caught up in that stuff because I don't care. And again, it's not to say I don't care, but I guess it is to say I don't think about it. It doesn't, I don't know. You know, we've talked about this before. I have a weird mindset. I don't care about the weather. I don't care about anything that's happening that I cannot control. And so that's what I focus on. What
Right.
can I control?
That's part of Kristen and I talk often about as we move forward here, Kristen and Karen and Rachel and Zach and all of us move forward with Kaiba and into this new role and new venture and these new opportunities. We continuously talk about our personal selves, our personal best. And one of the things about living your best life is one of the things we often say to each other is you cannot be completely unsuccessful in your personal life and be completely successful in your professional life because they collide. And at one point you have to be accountable in your personal life, and that's one of the things you have constantly done. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. You've constantly been.
I hear you. Yeah, you work in tandem. You work in tandem with the business side. You work in tandem with your personal side.
Well, and
even
that's what I
at
said earlier.
even at your lowest.
Anything that is in your personal life or you're suppressing, it's going to come forward.
Yes,
it's going to come forward in your professional life. It's going to come forward in your relationships with others. And so, you know, until you're really willing to visit that, then you're not going to have that sustained growth that you're looking for, whether it again circles back to personal or professional.
Absolutely correct. So John Wentworth, what is up and coming? I mean, we see you all over. We see, and you know, you did kind of have this, you know, tagline where it was a lot of big houses on the water, but you know, you've got some big property on the water all over the state of Michigan. What's the market looking like? It's pretty magical right now.
Yeah, I mean, the market is strong. You know, what's on the horizon for us? Growth. You know, I think we're finally positioned where we can start to dive into growth. You know, and it's not about growth of, you know, it's about strengthening the brand, and it's about strengthening the people inside of our culture, and growing those people. And again, you know, it's just like your show. You know, I just have this belief that if you do the right thing over and over, and you show up every day, and you're willing to put in the work and the sweat, you know, who knows what will become of it.
That's exactly right. You continue your best, and then you can sleep very well at night. You live your best life.
When you get focused on, it's got to be this.
Right.
Well, you know, I don't know that that you can create what it's got to be. And so I think, you know, it's like today at our team meeting, like in the moment before the meeting, something changed, and I changed everything we were going to talk about. You know, I think you've got to be willing to kind of roll with things as well, and be in the moment. I think is super important. You know, when as I referenced earlier, I spoke in New Orleans at a real estate conference, and you know, it is not like me to plan pretty much anything.
You go with the flow.
I go with the flow.
You do, which is a beautiful way to live. It truly is. Lisa struggles because she's a planner, John.
I'm getting hot right now.
She has to take a break. Can we take a break, please? No, but I'm more like you. So I try to meet in the middle with her because I know she really needs a plan. She needs to write it down. It really needs to be, the logistics need to be done. But one thing you mentioned real quickly that I think is really important, couple things is, you know, check out the Wentworth group. If you're looking to get into real estate, at least reach out. They're great contacts to have, especially, and if you're looking to sell your house or looking to buy a house, check them out online. You'll find them everywhere. They're very good at social. You are the best of the best. But one thing that studies have shown, and I listened to a really amazing TED Talk, was you know, you look at what defines success. Is it academics? Is it this? Is it that? You know what they define success? Those who have grit. And the fact that's kind of your core objective, it's kind of that circular within the, you know, outer layers that defines on how you, I think, really kind of live your entire life on both sides speaks, you know, truly, that's how I live. And like Lisa said too, us now climbing this ladder and evaluating everything as a whole, we're following the John Wentworth lead.
Yeah.
It's grit and it's shutting out the noise.
Yes.
Because if we sat and listened to everyone, we would be crying.
You've got to be willing to shut out the noise, and
Yeah.
I think that goes back to creating boundaries. You know, look, I know who I am. I know who I'm not, and
And
I
you're
think
okay with both.
That is good.
I'm totally fine with them. And again, that doesn't mean that I'm not striving to be better. You know, better husband, right? Better father. You know, those are the two core things that I really want to focus on because I know that if I can focus on that, that's going to show up in my professional life as well. Yep. And so, you know, it's at the end of the day, you know, grit matters. And when you start hearing people say things like, well, I'm going to try, well, bullshit. You know, and this is where I get passionate because, you know, there's no such thing as try. You either do or you don't, right? And well, I would have, but.
Right.
So when I hear these things, look, it doesn't mean I'm like, oh, gee, I don't want to be around them, but I also now I recognize that, right? And is this somebody that can have growth in that, or is this somebody that's always going to fall back to it's somebody else's fault, right? Because I have every excuse in the book if I wanted to lean on them. And I think that, you know, why do people go back to those excuses is the people around them say, it's okay. Yeah. I know it's hard.
I know you tried.
Right? And so I'm looking for people that will say to me, no, you got to own it.
And I'm going to do it.
And, and you've got to own it and you've got to do it. So I always use this as an example. My 19-year-old Christian.
Love that boy. He's got to come visit the studios. We haven't seen him.
Well,
Where is
and
he?
He's home. He's home.
Okay,
he's home from Florida. So, but you know, I used to say, go in, for example, right? Go in the garage and get me a screwdriver. Now that's a funny example because I don't even own a screwdriver. But and he would come back and say I couldn't find it, right? And I would say,
then you would have to go find it.
No, I would say I didn't ask you to find it. I asked you to go get it and bring it to me, right? Because I know it's there. And so that's a very different mindset, right?
Right. Yeah.
Go back and don't come back until you find it because I know it's there. And then 5 minutes later he shows up with it.
I love that.
And that's what I'm trying to apply to everything. Like, it's not whether I think I can or not. If I make a decision to do something, then I'm going to do it. And I think that's super important for people to recognize that they're all capable of this. You know, look, I'm not some magician, right? I just show up. I work hard. Look, when it comes to the brand, I think what I'm most proud of is, are we perfect? No. Right. You know, if somebody stands up here and has a business and says it's perfect, well, they're lying. But what I do know is that when we make mistakes, we own them. When we make mistakes, we reflect on them and how do we improve. But the baseline and the core is that we operate in integrity.
I think you have the strategy. I think you have the strategy down.
Yeah.
I think John Wentworth is truly living his best life.
Absolutely.
And I would say, and I think you would agree, because I know you're big on working out and taking care of this vessel that you have been provided. And I think the key is to eating correctly and working out like you do quite a bit. And like you said, it's surrounding yourself with the right people.
The right people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also okay to recognize, like, I did not go to the gym today. Now, I usually go 5 days a week, right? I'm okay with that, right? I mean, I had a huge day, obviously. I mean, we started at 8:30. My commitment this week, because I am going out of town and my daughter's in horse camp, was to take her to horse camp in the morning and pick her up from horse camp in the afternoon. Nothing's going to get in the way of that, right? That was my commitment. That's great. So now the flip side is, well, I said I would take her, but this came up. No, you made a choice. So I think here's the other thing, and people talk about time management, which truthfully is not real. It doesn't exist, right? You can't make up time. You can't make up sleep.
Right.
What you can do are control your choices.
That's right.
And so, yesterday I'm trying to cram my whole week into Monday and Tuesday before I leave Wednesday. And I got a phone call from my staff, hey, a listing appointment on Lobdell at 4:30. No, I can't do it. I can go at 6:30, but first comes what I committed to doing for my daughter, which was taking her to camp and picking her up.
We
love
talk about that. I do too. I think it's
Love
such
that
a
so much.
powerful message. And I think we say
Absolutely.
as women, oh, we can have it all. No.
No.
We're the first ones to say, no, we can't. And to your point, that's exactly right. And it's learning to say no. And it's learning the
Yes.
boundaries. And it's learning to prioritize. John Wentworth, we love you.
We do.
We love you. We love you.
How, again, why don't we promote your website? What is your website?
Well, I mean, it's johnwentworthgroup.com.
I mean, no big deal.
Yeah.
Look, I just, people say, do you have a business card? And I don't carry business cards, right? Because I say, if our conversation doesn't have a big enough impact on you to remember me, then you don't want to call me anyway, right?
Right.
So,
That's right.
but it's johnwentworthgroup.com. You can find us all over social, obviously. We did make a branding change. We removed my name from the brand, so now it's Wentworth Real Estate Group.
Oh, excellent.
As we grow, we're just always tweaking and refining.
Yeah,
and,
I love
and
that.
whatever is best for the consumer first, and whatever is best for the growth of the business second, and inside of that, it's very focused on the people inside of our organization. We've got people that have been on our team for 7, 8, 9 years.
Right.
It's excellent.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah. it
If
is.
you need the Wolasanovich name to help you evolve and go global,
I can sell, but I can't spell, and I can't spell that name.
I could sell, but I can't spell. I love that. We absolutely adore you. Thank you for these. Thank you for sharing your story
Yes,
first and
thank you.
foremost. Thank you for these amazing tips on how to live your best life. Thank you for giving us, the acceptance. It's okay to fail. It's okay to learn from our failures and
I would
not
seek
be perfect.
failure.
I agree. We concur 100%. It's something that we need to, it's a frequency thing that we need to continue to communicate. And it's people and community leaders and the fellowship that you provide is what is really guiding this success.
Well,
So thank you.
Thank you. And a quick shout out to my wife, because I'd be remiss not to share that. I would not be here without her. And I think we all need to look for strength inside of our relationships, whether if you're not married, maybe it's friendship. I've got tremendous friends, Tony and Andy and Todd and just all of these people. And I don't need tons of friends. I just need some really good ones. But my wife and my relationship with the Lord helps so much. So shout out.
That's great.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You're going to
I'm
make
filled.
me cry.
I know. I'm filled
getting
right now.
verklempt.
I'm filled. Yeah.
Look, it's
love
not about
it.
me. It's about everybody else. Here, I want to share this before we leave. Tomorrow, when you go about your day, right, be intentful on what can I do to help others without expecting anything in return, and not even a thank you, right? Because so many times people say, Shh, he didn't even say thank you. Right. Well, you just killed the deed that you did. And I think, when we're seeking contentment, and this is something that I'm intent full on, is trying to understand why I'm content. It's because I don't ever need a pat on the back. Now, it doesn't mean to say it doesn't feel good, but I don't seek it.
But it comes to you just because you do live in contentment. So it's coming back to you. It's just what's happening very naturally. So thank
beautiful.
you. John Wentworth, we love you.
Love you. Thank
Lisa
you.
Metropolis, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, of course, to our viewers and our listeners. This has been Kaiba, Health and Life.
Kaiba.